The movie begins in a remote Afghan village where soldiers called the Delta Force are on a mission to rescue an American congressman, Stanford Cooper, held by the Taliban. An expert sniper named Sergeant Jake Chandler and a soldier named Rich are positioned from a distance to provide the team with cover fire. Jake shoots two armed men and gives the signal to move to the area. The team surrounds the building and successfully rescues the congressman. Shortly after, Vic reports the situation to their lieutenant and requests a Humvee to escort the congressman to safety. However, the team needs to get to a certain location where the Humvees will pick them up. As soon as the platoon is ready, Rich informs Vic that the Humvees will arrive in a few minutes. Thus, the team moves out of the building while Jake covers them until they reach the Humvees. While Vic leads the team outside, Jake sees a Taliban and fires his rifle. The team then covers themselves as they engage in a firefight. At the same time, Jake and Rich shoot every enemy they see. Moments later, Vic orders the team to advance, but unfortunately, Doc gets shot in the back, as well as one of his comrades who tried to help him. Vic moves on with the others and escorts the congressman to the Humvee's destination. During the encounter, the Humvees arrive to assist the Delta Force. Marcus escorts the congressman to the Humvee, but gets shot, injuring his face. Vic pushes him inside to save him and tells everyone to wait for Jake and Rich. However, at the same time, Jake and Rich get spotted by the enemies. Inevitably, Rich gets shot, but Jake manages to strike back. As more terrorists attack the Humvee, the team has no choice but to leave them behind in order to accomplish their mission. Sometime later, at the Outpost, a war photographer named Janet requests to go out to the field to take some shots. However, Lieutenant Colonel Jackson declines it because it's too dangerous. Soon after, the Humvees arrive with the injured soldiers and the congressman. Thus, Janet takes the opportunity to take a good shot and takes pictures of them. However, Vic interrupts her and orders her to stop snapping images of his men without permission. Janet then lashes out at him. Thus, Vic grabs her camera to take out the memory card as Charlie stops her, instructing her to step aside. Janet continues to question them, but is adamantly ignored. Moments later, Vic tells Marcus to rest at the camp to recover. As he steps outside the camp, Janet approaches him to apologize for causing a disturbance earlier. Vic accepts her apology, and they properly introduces themselves. Meanwhile, Jake is on the lookout while Rich suffers an injury. Moments later, Rich wakes up in pain and asks Jake what happened. He explains that the team went back to base to finish the mission, leaving them behind. Stuck in a dire situation where Rich cannot move his leg due to his injury and Jake's broken radio, they have no choice but to wait for reinforcements to rescue them. Eventually, Vic reports the rescue mission to Jackson and requests to rescue his men who were left behind. Much to his dismay, Jackson declines his request due to a shortage of soldiers and ammunition. They are then advised not to let anyone out until the camp gets supplied and reinforced. At the infirmary, Vic approaches Cooper to ask him questions, but is unable to respond due to his condition. Marcus then tells Vic that he heard him rambling the name Abdul Azim Abad, the leader of the Taliban, before he was given medicine. After that, Vic leaves the infirmary and comes across Janet. She requests to ride with him on his mission, but he rejects her since they are not allowed to leave the base anymore. Sometime later, at the outpost, Jackson summons Vic to discuss what happened to the supplies. Bashir, the driver of the truck supply, told Jackson that the truck broke down on the road halfway from the outpost while a soldier named Tyler stayed to guard the truck. Jackson wants Vic's team to retrieve the truck and bring it to the outpost as Bashir guides them to it. Moreover, he orders Vic to destroy it if it is no longer useful and should get as many supplies as they can back to base. Vic and his team prepare to move out, and Janet tags along. Eventually, the team finds the truck in the middle of the road. They carefully approach it as Vic orders Bashir to summon Tyler. Meanwhile, Janet stubbornly takes pictures of the truck against Vic's orders. Suddenly, a soldier shows up, and he introduces himself as Tyler. He tells them that the truck ran out of gas. Thus, Vic goes back to the truck to inspect the supplies. However, to his surprise, he finds a woman with a baby instead. He immediately calls Tyler and demands an explanation. The two talk privately as Tyler explains that he took pity on her when he found her on the road and offered to take her in until they reached her family. He couldn't report his situation to the Outpost because his radio was broken. Despite the unlikely situation, Vic believes him and orders Janet to bring food and water to the woman. He then orders Jennings to fix the truck, and Tyler volunteers to help. After a while, Jennings finds the truck's problem requiring minor repair. Basher then calls Vic to see the woman's condition and discovers that she has numerous scars on her back caused by whips. Janet offers to treat her with first aid as Vic instructs Basher to help them. Vasquez approaches Vic about their situation, concluding that they should leave the area. They are at risk of being shot in the open and are concerned about the truck loaded with explosives. Suddenly, shots are fired in Vic and Vasquez's direction. The others take cover behind the truck upon hearing loud gunshots. Shortly after, a firefight starts between the enemies and Vic's platoon. During the encounter, Janet attempts to take pictures, but Vasquez stops her. Moments later, Vic gathers the squad for a plan where one must go to their truck and bring it to the truck supply as cover. While the others cover fire for him, Jennings offers to undertake the task. Unfortunately, he gets shot and trips as he rushes to their truck. Tyler jumps to his aid and pulls him to the truck in response. As he attempts to repel the assailants, he is instantaneously killed by a bullet to the head. After that, Jennings departs from him and takes over the truck's supply. At some point during the firefight, Janet returns to their truck with Basher and the woman, but as she climbs to the truck, Janet gets shot and falls. The woman helps her, and the enemy suddenly stops shooting. After that, Jennings goes to Janet to patch her injury, and everything becomes quiet. Vasquez takes notice of the enemy's behavior whenever they see the woman. However, they don't know much about the woman, thus, Vic orders Basher to ask her who she is. Meanwhile, Jake and Rich are still standing by the building for safety. Jake sees the enemies gathering outside, and Rich asks him what he's thinking. He tells him he's thinking of sabotaging the enemy's truck to get out of the area. At the same time, Jennings informs Vic that the truck supply is in good condition. Basher tells Vic about the woman's identity, revealing her name as Jada, the daughter-in-law of Abdul Azim Abad, their primary target. With the enemy's reaction, they prove that Basher is telling the truth. Thus, Vic sees an opportunity and tells his plan to Vasquez. He plans on using Jada as a hostage in exchange for Jake and Rich. However, Vasquez opposes his idea. Vic then tries to convince him by telling him that he will use the truck supplied for explosives if the enemies try to shoot them, resulting in Jada's death, and they will gain nothing. Sometime later, Jake scouts the area and sees a few enemies walking around. He finds a communicating device and sends a message to the Outpost for extraction. Meanwhile, Vic shares the plan with the team and informs them that Jennings will take everybody to the Outpost base, while he takes the truck on a detour to reunite Jada with her family. Vasquez volunteers to support Vic as Jennings take the rest back to the camp. Back in the building, Jake sees Vasquez planting remote bombs around the area. He sees this as an opportunity to help the team and leaves Rich for a while. After that, Vasquez joins Vic and Jada on their way to Abdul's hideout. Upon arriving at the location, Abdul and his men block them. Jake then uses a mirror to indicate to Vic that he's ready, and Vic notices this and knows he is. Vic approaches Abdul and requests that their commerce cease. Vic promises to give Jada in return for his soldiers who are missing, and Abdul accepts. Soon later, Jada approaches Abdul carefully, but he senses something is off. Abruptly, Jada removes her hood to show that she is Janet. After that, she gives Abdul a grenade, and everyone flees from him. Abdul is instantly killed by the explosion, and his soldiers begin a new round of gunfire. As others take cover on the ground, Jake offers cover fire from above. Vic then shouts at Vasquez to activate the detonators around the area. Thus, Jake shoots the detonators, and they explode on impact, eliminating the enemies on the field. The firefight finally ends, and Janet proceeds to take pictures of the aftermath. The movie ends with Janet and Vic befriending each other. She then takes pictures of Vic, Vasquez, and Jake for their heroic deeds. Thanks for watching.